This is Trophy Gold, the Maze of Nuromen, Part 2. I want to begin by doing a very quick recap of what happened in Part 1, and then we're going to do a little bit of character sheet housekeeping, and then we shall continue playing. So you all were traveling to the ruins of a town called Law's End. Historically, this was a town set up by a necromancer named Nuromen and his depraved followers. The town was destroyed when Nuromen tried too hard at magic or something, and so there's no one there anymore. But the thinking is that there were catacombs beneath the town, and that within these catacombs is where Nuromen's greatest treasures lie. So at the outset, you're going there to do that. On the way, you encountered a camp of Feyborn. The Feyborn have a very particular history with Law's End, which is some king of theirs from a long time ago somehow got captured by Nuromen, and the king's crown is allegedly still in the catacombs or somewhere within Nuromen's lair. And these Feyborn need the crown as their sort of secret handshake to get into Feyborn heaven. And if they don't have it, then they're not getting in. And so they're kind of stuck. They can't go get it themselves because of the cursed nature of the place. It doesn't sit well with them for some reason. They can't enter Law's End. They also think, they don't know, but they think that the Feyborn prince's sort of bodyguards or royal guard might still be in the area as well, like protecting either the prince's body if he's dead, or if he's in some sort of stasis, or if he's alive even. They are sort of there because they can't leave his side. That's the rumor anyway. You agreed to go look for the crown in exchange for a handy amulet, which will let you bypass those guardians should you encounter them. And so you headed to Law's End from there, discovered a town that is a rubble, a ruin, and being overtaken by the wilderness. It's atop a hill, and you searched several places, but importantly, you searched the ruins of Nuromen's tower and found beneath the ruins of the tower a deep shaft that presumably goes down to the catacombs beneath Law's End. There were a couple of little things in between all of that worth pointing out. You may have befriended a gray ooze, or at least a gray ooze has some sort of affinity for Gabriel's character, who is Kiva. And you also found some pretty decent treasure as well in the chapel of Law's End. The chapel has a statue of a terrifying six-armed baboon god, so they weren't up to any good at all in Law's End. Let's just put it that way. And so that is kind of the situation. Is there anything from the recap that I missed or that is worth pointing out, especially anything related to your character that I might have overlooked? Okie doke. In that case, I want to do housekeeping, and the way that works, in my games at least, is I want you to scroll down to the part of the character keeper that starts with gold and continues on through burdens, and I want you to just read every part of that out loud. This is both for ourselves and for the viewers of the video. So Gabriel, tell us about Kiva, starting with gold, then hunt tokens, ruin, conditions, burdens.
All right, Kiva has 1 gold, 1 hunt token, 4 ruin. Her condition is 1 with the ooze, and she has 3 burdens.
Fabulous, thank you. Raji, tell us about Valen.
Valen has 2 gold, 1 hunt token, 4 ruin, and 3 burdens. No conditions yet.
Fabulous, thank you. Ty, tell us about Basso.
Basso has 2 gold, 1 hunt token, 3 ruin, no conditions, and 3 burdens.
Thank you. And Rob, tell us about Reynolds.
Reynolds has 1 gold, 3 hunt tokens, which I need to do something with, 2 ruin, no conditions, and 3 burdens.
Fantastic, thank you. We don't currently have an active set goal. You had just completed the set goal of the set you were in, which was to find the entrance to the catacombs, which you've done. We are going to have a scene, though, where you are going down the shaft. Even though there's no set or set goal, I just want to kind of spend some time on this scene. And what I'm really interested in this scene in particular is I feel like whenever people go into unlit, very deep, dark shafts under the earth where there are definitely skeletons moving of their own accord. Like, this feels really stupid to me. Like, this feels like a stupid behavior that people would engage in. And so I always am curious, like, what would make your characters do such a thing, right? Why would you behave in this way? And of course, it's your drive, right? Your drive is what pushes you forward towards doing this unadvisable behavior, right? And so I am interested in talking about drives, maybe not with everyone, but with at least some of you for now. And so just to sort of set the scene back up, you have rigged, is it one rope, or what's the rigging situation for getting down? What have we decided as far as that goes?
I think there were definitely some like old ropes hanging there, and maybe, yeah, maybe Kiva was trying to cobble them together as best as she could.
And there was also a skeleton moving around somewhere down.
There was
partway down the.
So I think just to like, I think between the old ropes and maybe reinforced or supported by some new rope would be great. If you all have some like other equipment, iron spikes or something like that. I think I just need some equipment here to kind of justify getting you all down here relatively safely. I don't want any die rolls. I just want to make sure you have the gear capable of getting you down.
Kiva does have a bunch of twine, if that maybe could braid around the rope or something to tie them together.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
I think it would make sense if Reynolds had some iron spikes or climbing equipment in general.
Yeah, give me something. Something to sort of like either reinforce to make sure the rope is very secure or something like that. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, like some pitons or something that you might use for
I bet you there's something in the open gear list. I bet there's something. I'm just going to assume there is. I don't know. I hope there is.
Yeah, I've added 6 iron spikes to my equipment.
Okay, good. So I think you're able to sort of like reinforce the rope, anchor it well, and importantly, create enough length to go all the way down, which is about 100 feet. You may have to all go down one by one just to be safe. Yeah, assuming you have to go down one by one. Who goes first?
I feel like Valen would be eager to go first if the party would let him go first.
I see nodding heads, so I think you're good to go, Valen.
Cool.
So Valen, this is interesting. I mentioned at the top that, this is a sort of foolhardy errand to be engaged in. I think treasure hunters and adventurers it's foolish behavior. But you are not a person. You're a mannequin. Maybe you don't have the same sorts of do you have the same sense of self-preservation that a human does, or is it different?
I think it's less so than a human. I probably don't feel pain in the same way, so maybe there's just a little bit less fear of something happening, so I'm willing to kind of jump into things a little bit more.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Tell me again about your sister. Or your sibling, rather. What happened to them?
Yeah, if I remember right, I think I described, having a sister that was made at the same time, but has some kind of magical ailment that's making their body decay.
Are they like, what makes them your sibling? Did you have the same creator, or is that what unites you, or is this a found family? You just decided to be siblings?
I think we're made of like the same pile of stuff. I kind
Okay.
of imagine like somebody made both of us out of like a bunch of different armor and things laying around, and we come from the same pile and we're born at the same time. So
I like it. So I imagine whenever it was pointed out that there's a skeleton wedged between a piece of out jutting rock, and the skeleton is moving, it's animated, I imagine at least one or more of the other characters, probably reacted with surprise, maybe even revulsion. How did you react when you saw this animated pile of bones, given that you're just an animated pile of metal?
Not much revulsion, but maybe just like caution. Like I see it more as an obstacle than like
Is it a mannequin?
something to be afraid of. You know, in a way, I'd probably think that it is, because it seems animated, instead of like fully living, I guess.
But it doesn't respond to you. Like if you speak to it, it doesn't say anything back. It just sort of mindlessly paws at the stone. Does that mean it's less of a mannequin?
I think in my view, no. I think it's just different.
Good. You get to the bottom safely, no problem. Who goes next?
I think Reynolds will go next.
Good. Tell us what you look like, Reynolds. As we in the movie of our minds, what does it look like when you're getting ready to go down? How are you dressed? What's your build?
I think Reynolds is a skinny, slightly hunched over, nondescript but unkempt looking character dressed in the remains of clothes that may once have been fine. A shirt and breeches, with a cloak that's somewhat ragged around his shoulders. He definitely looks like he comes from the wrong side of the tracks in Fort Duran, and yeah, he has an air of untrustworthiness to him generally.
Well, that's an interesting thing to say at the end. I'm curious. Your background is fugitive servant. I'm curious what kind of servant you were, and what did you do to be a fugitive?
I think I was employed in various positions over the years. My family had been from that class of people that would, be in service to nobles and gentry, and working in the household of a particular nobleman, I was caught stealing, and it was a choice of ending up in Barcel prison or going on the run. And
do not want to end up in Barcel prison.
Just throw that out there. Really no choice at all.
Yeah, avoid Barcel prison at all costs. I know that because I am putting together the Loom book. Okay. Your drive is to pay your father's debt to Bright Teeth Assyrio. Bright Teeth Assyrio, I don't know how much, if you've had any thoughts on it, but in the trophy setting, Bright Teeth Assyrio is generally considered to be like a sort of gangster type figure, right? I'm curious about your father, though. Are you trying to do this because you love him, or is there some other reason?
Oh, I think my father is already dead at the hands of Bright Tooth Assyrio, and the debt has been passed on to me.
Ah, interesting. Okay, good.
I inherited the debt.
Do you curse your father for this?
I don't think there was any great love lost between us. He was not an entirely straight edge himself, and that has rubbed off on his son.
Good.
But really, I think Reynard's primary concern is Reynard's. He wants to be able to pay off his debts to free himself from the weight of it over his shoulder.
That's terrific. Thank you. You make it to the bottom, no problem. Who wants to go next?
Basso will go next.
Basso. Same question that I started with Reynard's. Tell us what you look like.
Yeah, so Basso kind of looks like a typical magical academy student, but sort of like tilted in a way, like almost like a student that doesn't care about his appearance. He's kind of like disheveled and not like, you know, a charming like young man or anything. He looks more like, you know, like almost like something's wrong, and he's sort of like searching it out. He's wearing like the academy sort of like outfit for a student, but it's been like patched back together. He's like sort of put his own spin on it. He has like maybe like a half cloak as well. Kind of looks like he just doesn't really care about his appearance. So he would have like probably a big bushy beard if he could grow facial hair, but it looks like he just like can't. He's either too young or he's just got one of those faces that is just never going to show up. And the way he moves is really almost just like uncomfortably. Like going down the rope, he's sort of like trying to like go down as smoothly as maybe like Valen and Reynolds did, but he like keeps slipping and has to like grab it and then hold it, get his positioning. And then just like Valen would have saw in the fight, he couldn't even get his sword out in time when he was fighting the bandits. He's just like a very sort of unsure of his physical abilities.
I love it. What is Garland's curse?
Garland's curse is from one of the instructors at the academy that he sort of crossed and crossed in a way that was unforgivable to Garland, at least. But anything that Basso writes down doesn't stay. So, you know, he'll write a page, flip the page, whatever he's written is gone. So basically his sort of academic career is essentially at a standstill right now because he cannot publish. So, you know, publish or perish. He's on the way to perishing right now.
Fantastic. Thank you. You reach the bottom of the shaft. Well, that just leaves you, Kiva. Kiva, as you're getting ready to go down yourself, the gray ooze has come down there as well with you. And I just have one question for you. This is an alien life form. It's barely a life form, right? It just meets the most minimum technical definition of life form, right? And yet, it does something that you interpret to be an expression of affection. What is it?
I think after seeing its behavior before, where it almost sort of lunged and seemed threatening, now it almost like spreads itself out in tendrils like it's going to embrace and doesn't quite wrap around. It's sort of like those pseudopods, just kind of curiously, like an octopus, just kind of feeling out the contours of something. And I understand that to be that it's just curious and interested in me, but it's not trying to engulf me.
I think it stays on the lip of the shaft as you're going down. It will follow, but I don't know if Kiva knows that yet. And so you're going down and you will make it to the bottom, no problem. The next set is at the bottom of the shaft. It is, well, it's called yeah, I guess it's the Underground River, basically, is the name of the set. And the set goal is quite simply to safely cross the Underground River. Now, what you see, so you get down to the bottom of this shaft, and it's filled with debris from the collapsed tower, and indeed debris from a collapsed staircase. You used to be able to like take stairs down to this, right? But not anymore. And you're in a space that is about the width of the shaft, but it's like natural cavern, right? And this space is cut in half by a quite wide, quite fast rushing underground river. You can see on one end of the space a portcullis that is where the water is kind of rushing through it. And then on the other end, you see that the river just goes down and would sweep you away and eject you to some deep, dark, cavernous place if you were to get caught up in it. Your goal is to get across, because on the other side, you see what appears to be a pair of large double doors built into what is a wall that's been masoned. And then also on the other side, interestingly, there's a big hole on the ground as well. We'll talk about that hole when we get to it, but that's kind of what you see on the other side of the river. The double doors are where you need to be pretty transparently. Now, getting across the river is going to be dangerous. It's deep, it's fast moving. It does not seem to be going anywhere you want to be. And sort of dotted here and there along the river are pieces of masonry and rubble and debris that have managed to get stuck in the ground, right? And the water's just rushing around it. So that might present some sort of opportunity to get across. Or you might be able to come up with some other plan of getting across. But in any case, your set goal is to safely get across. So let's just have that scene. Everyone kind of gathering yourselves and assessing the situation and deciding what you want to do.
Yeah, I guess as we all get to the bottom and sort of like take a look around, I'm gonna look at Valen and say, you're mostly armor and metal. Do you think you could sink to the bottom of that river and cross? Do you have to breathe?
I do not have to breathe, but the water looks like it is rushing fast. I wonder if I would stay put. Certainly willing to give it a shot. But
well, it's not.
I would like some assurance. Maybe a rope tied to me, just in case.
Does anyone have any more rope? Or is our last rope there in the side of the shell?
I have rope, but I also can create a web, maybe as a safety net. I don't know if that would get us all the way, but it might keep us from being washed all the way downstream.
Maybe like set it up at one end or something so that it would catch you. Interesting.
Do you have a net? I have a fishing net too.
I have the ritual web.
But
I could also take out some rope.
What? How far is the big hole that we saw?
It's on the other side of the river. And yeah, it's on the other side of the river. So.
Is it like in front of the door?
No. It's like off to the side. You could walk around it if you had to.
Well, I have a bit of a trick of my own in that I have some magic where I could hold my breath and levitate a bit. I would need would need a push as I levitate to get over the river, but I don't know if that'd be helpful unless maybe I took a rope and then we created a sort of a line across.
Maybe if we tie it to our friend Valen as an anchor, if things go south, at least you're tied to him and he won't be pulled down either.
Feels like there's a plan coming together here. Maybe Basso levitates, gets across the other side with a rope. The rope is then used to sort of pull your way across. And then Basso goes underneath at the end last, because the theory is that Basso could just sink to the bottom and crawl across the bottom, right?
Or Valen.
So I'm sorry, Valen, yeah. The Valen could just sink to the bottom and crawl across the bottom. And Kiva possibly helping by, as a failsafe, doing a magical web ritual to catch anyone who might get caught up in the stream. This feels like a good plan. I think it's a good plan. I think the best way to handle it is via a single risk roll, and then with help rolls from other players. I don't know, like any rituals that get used as part of help, we'll just use the ritual as fictional positioning. I don't need a ritual roll because the ruin can go up with the help roll anyway. So, Basso, do you want to take point on the die roll itself?
I think that seems appropriate since he's going first.
Indeed. So someone needs to give me rope. Either pull in your pack and grab some, and then we will execute this plan.
I will grab some rope from my backpack equipment.
And let's talk about the die roll. So I think it's Basso's role, but I feel like kind of everyone's sort of in danger, right? Because this is a group activity, right? And so I think anyone's kind of like at stake here, or anyone could be kind of like part of the stakes as far as what could go wrong. But we all, except for Ty, gets to speak about what we think would go wrong if the die roll fails.
I think the obvious one is Basso's command over his float ritual is not all he would hope it is, and he ends up in the water hoping that we can hang on to the other end of the rope.
I would like to suggest that the journey is impeded by some sort of horrible creature in the river that presents itself at the wrong moment.
I mean, the rope gets lost or frays or something along the way.
Lose the rope, yep.
Yeah, I was thinking something pretty similar, the rope breaking. So
let's talk about dice. Do you have a skill well, you're using a piece of equipment, so I'll take that as for your first light die, Basso. The devil's bargain, though. I'm going to reframe my fail condition as devil's bargain and say no matter what, someone on the other side has to deal with the creature in the river.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, everyone gets to offer one. You might get a better offer from the other players.
I was thinking maybe the water is either like way hotter than you would expect or way colder. Either like freezing cold or maybe searing hot. So if any of us touch it, that could be bad.
Like, or everybody gets a condition or something like that.
Maybe I get rusty, but
yeah.
Your float spell works too well or lasts too long, and you're just kind of up in the air awkwardly.
You're like a balloon. I have to tug you along. Any offers, Rob?
I was wondering if there could be something waiting for him on the other side as opposed to in the river. But if Basso's alone on the other side, waiting for us to get across, and also we're relying on him to hold the rope so that we can get across.
That's a good framing of the devil's bargain, because basically if you choose there's a creature option tie, you can kind of choose between somebody on the other side of the river having to deal with it or you having to deal with it.
Well, I like the idea of Basso having to go up on his own while trying to hold the rope against a monster. So let's take that one.
Okay, so that's good. Good. And that actually, if it ends up being a combat, that's a perfect explanation for vulnerability too, right? Because you have to like hold the rope. So it might happen like while someone's in the middle of crossing, right? So, good. Okay, so I think we're also going to have, in the summation of this scene, we're going to have the ritual, the web ritual happening. We're going to have Valen taking up the rear. All that's going to be happening, but we won't do the help dice unless Ty needs it. Okay, so risk 2-1. Go for it, Ty.
I got a 3 on the dark die is the highest.
Yeah, you definitely need help if you want to have any chance of succeeding at this. Kiva, why don't you describe your ritual and then roll a help die?
Kiva's web spell kind of draws on any like organic matter in the area. So maybe there's like algae or seaweed in the river, and it just kind of comes to life and makes this little web, kind of a net to keep you from being pulled further down.
I love it. So the way the help die roll works is you're going to roll a light die, which is a weak /weak on the die roller, but you're going to roll a light die. And if it is, it just gets included as part of the roll. But if it matches that dark die, which is a 3, then you take a ruin. So it's not great. It is a 1.
Sorry.
This is all bad. Let's go to Valen. You can have a shot at help as well, since you are sort of you'll be taking up the rear of the endeavor and serving as the anchor for everyone else. Go ahead and roll a week.
All right.
Hey, there you go. So it's a success. It was a 5. You have to stop there because the dark was high in your original roll. The complication, I think the complication is just going to be that, like, I'm just going to kind of lean into the idea of there's a monster on the side that you're on, Basso, and I'm going to twist the knife a little bit to say that essentially there's someone like crossing right now, and when you encounter the monster, and the monster will be trying to like pull the rope out of your hands to get them to knock down the river, right? So that's kind of what the monster will be trying to do, in addition to possibly attacking you directly. But give me the first part, the ritual, floating across, all that business.
So yeah, Basso sort of just takes out some like ash and just like begins to like make a cut on his like palm, and then mixes it with the ash, and then inhales that down like his throat, which makes him begin to like start coughing. And then when he takes the next deep breath in, he like begins to float, because the ritual is hold your breath to gently levitate. So as long as he can hold his breath now, he's sort of just like floating, and then like gestures maybe at Reynolds and Valen, like the two like tougher guys, to sort of like give him a shove across the river.
Nice. And you get the shove, you float across, you have a rope. We'll say you have a rope like tied to your body and around your waist, and the rope is being strung across. Kiva's doing weaving the web with all the detritus and stuff. That's happening. That's all going well. And who's the first person who's going to cross after Basso? Is it going to be? It's got to be Reynolds, right? Because yeah. So Reynolds,
with his agility skill, he'd be able to jump across the.
Yeah. So you've got the rope. You're using the rope to help leverage yourself as you're sort of getting across. and everything is going fine. You're in the middle of crossing the river, Reynolds, when you notice, Basso doesn't see it yet, but you notice that there is something crawling up out of that hole. It is about 5 feet tall, but it's a little hunkered down. It's reptilian. It has like a comb of like reptilian head ornamentation. I don't know what you call that on a lizard. And sort of big reptilian eyes and scaly skin. And it crawls out of the hole and it's like sneaking up on Basso. You can see it, Reynolds, but you're in the middle of the river. What do you do?
I think I just try and make eye contact with Basso and just say, hold the rope, hold the rope. And
I am holding it. Come on, let's go, let's go.
And start scrambling as quickly as I can toward the other side. Hope I can make it before this thing gets to him.
I like the idea of you being able to get there in time, but your vulnerability is that you're like basically rushing and jumping across quickly, try to get there, right? And the creature is going to attack you, Basso. Your vulnerability is pretty obvious, but if you want to like expound upon that anymore, by all means, go for it.
Yeah, I think Basso sort of like notices it at the last moment. He just has like the rope in both hands, turns, and this thing's here.
The thing has an endurance of 7. Why don't you both roll a week for me right now? All right. Looks like Reynolds has a 2 and Basso has a 6. And the creature has an endurance 7. Reynolds, you take the first go. Combat 2. That is not enough, but it doesn't hit you either. So Reynolds, start the combat. What does it look like?
Yeah, I think Reynolds scrambles to the other side as quickly as possible. He's kind of holding onto the rope and trying to skip nimbly across various bits of fallen masonry, just using the rope to balance and catch himself if he starts to slip to one side. And at the same time, he's trying to fumble his dagger from his belt, where it's kind of stuffed into a crude sheath. And he's trying to keep eye contact with Basso because he really doesn't want Basso to see this thing and panic. So he's no intention of telling Basso it's there.
Well, Basso, that's good. Pick up the combat, Basso, from there.
Yeah, I think Basso's just like, like almost like that sort of indignant, like, come on, like what are you doing? And then like making eye contact with you, and then like hears like maybe like a reptilian like clicking or hissing or something, and just like spins around, and like he's holding the rope with one hand and he reaches around it to grab like his sword, and he's gonna like try to get his sword out, and probably like draws the sword and it like almost like cuts the rope as he's doing it, but then like spins around, rope in one hand, sword in the other, sort of like backing off a bit.
Reynolds, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think I just dive, make a leap from the last piece of masonry I can, and just try and rush toward this thing as quickly as possible with my dagger. Now that I'm safe on the other side, I don't care so much whether Basso has seen it. But
yeah, Basso, make a combat 3. Hey, there you go. 5, 2, and 1. Unfortunately, you both take a hit, or this one ruin, or you can use your armor to block it. But in any case, you're going to destroy this thing. Reynolds, you have first go at it.
Yeah, I think I just come at it full speed, launching from some point midway in the river, and just rush at it with my dagger and plunge it deep into the center mass of this creature, barely even looking at what it is or just trying to counter its momentum.
Basso, anything you want to add?
I think that Basso just like makes like a wild swing at it, rope in one hand, and maybe just like clips the side of it a bit so that it like screeches out, and Reynolds has like a better chance of getting the upper hand.
Are you both taking the ruin, or are you marking armor?
I rolled a weak point 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a 5 for some reason. Oh, then you're fine. What about you, Reynolds? So
Yeah, I'll take the ruin. I only had ruin 2, so I'll take the ruin for now.
Okay. So as you're rushing in to like deliver the killing blow, I think it just like sinks its teeth on your forearm, and like so you're like sticking the knife in. It sinks its teeth on your forearm, and it's just like this: who will give up first? And it's him. So Ariat, and it dies. And we'll come back to what its gold value is later. But everybody else manages to get using the plan safely across the river. I think there might be a moment when Kiva's web saves her. That's it, but you otherwise are able to get across. And you're all there. Valen, go ahead and do the honors and roll 7 gold dice on this reptilian creature.
All right.
Hey, it's a good roll.
Looks like we got 3.
That is 3 gold, and this can work a couple of different ways. If you want to harvest something off the creature's body, you can do that. If you want to say that the creature had some kind of treasure that it was holding, you can do that as well. We're going to put an entry in the bestiary part of the character keeper for this creature. It needs a name, and if you do take things from its body, we need to note that on there as well. Who has a thought on what to call it? And if you're taking some of the valuable parts, what do you take?
I think if it's got spines on its head or along its back, I could definitely use those to form a loom for weaving, maybe.
Love it. If nobody has any objections, you can add that to your gear, and it's worth 1 gold.
Maybe something like Spiny Drifter for the name.
It's a good name.
Thinking about the way it was in the river.
Well, it was in the hole, but yeah.
Oh, it was in the hole. Okay.
It might have. I'm sure it was in the river at some point.
Yeah, spiny lurker or
Lurker's
I
good
like
too.
Lurker more.
It's just spiny lurker. It has 7 endurance. You're taking its comb is valuable. What else?
Could Basso maybe open its mouth with like a glass vial and try to like swab some of maybe its venom if it has venom in its like
you can swab some of its fluids, sure.
Sure. Well, Basso just assumes that this is probably good.
I'm sure it has some sort of use, some use to the scientific community. And anything else? That's worth 1 gold, by the way.
Yeah, I think maybe it's teeth. I picture having these long, like many extremely narrow teeth, like almost like an anglerfish or something. And
yeah, I think that's right.
Maybe those are kind of useful to make needles or that kind of.
No one has the objections. You can add that to your gear, and it's worth 1 gold. Valen, while they're doing all this, what are you doing?
At this point, I've already crossed, right?
Yeah, everyone's crossed.
I might just go peek at the hole that it came out of.
Sure.
Double check, make sure there's not more.
Yeah, of course. And also set goal complete, by the way. Yeah, the hole. Do you just look, or do you do something else? What do you do?
Yeah, I'll probably get kind of low to the ground and peek over and just look. Nothing too fancy.
We have a torch. We have a torch lit right now, right? Somebody give me a torch.
I think so.
I thought someone did last time, but I can't remember.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then maybe I'll hold that like close enough to illuminate the hole.
Yeah, take a 2-die hunt roll.
Okay. I have a 6.
You take a token. The torchlight doesn't even reach the bottom of the darkness. It's still dark at the bottom beyond it. So, but you don't see anything else.
Can I happen to find a treasure here?
You can spend a token to find one for sure. Yeah.
All right, I'll do that.
You will notice that on one side of the hole, looks like maybe it got snagged on a piece of like rock or something. Perhaps somebody who was unceremoniously dropped down the hole. You will notice that there's like a sort of like a bangle or a bracelet, like a gold bracelet, just kind of like got stuck, got snagged. You can reach down and grab it. It's worth 1 gold. And let's go to, at this point, once you get done harvesting the spiny lurker, or not, is it spiny lurker? Is that what we call it? Yeah, spiny lurker. What do you do after that, Kiva?
Well, we've already come down one shaft and there's another deep hole there, but I'm curious about these doors. It's just the next obvious thing to kind of peek around and, what they look like, who made them, what they're doing here.
Yeah, of course.
Seems like an unlikely place to come down into. So,
yeah. Well, go ahead and. Well, I mean, maybe not though, because like there was a staircase that used to come down, right? I mean,
right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was a thing. I mean, there must have at some point been a bridge across the river too. But yeah, so you're just examining the doors. Anything you're doing in particular, or just looking?
I think I want to look at if they seem like someone wants them to be opened, if they're locked, if they're trapped even. That's a thing I do have a skill in.
Ah, perfect. 2 dice.
Five.
Take your token. Let me take a look at the module real quick. The door's not trapped. There's no indication. I'll tell you outright, it's not trapped. The main problem is, and this is the terrible thing, the main problem is there's just a lot of rubble piled up in front of it. And you all are going to be at it for a little bit, like hauling the rubble away, pulling it away to clear the doors well enough for you to open them and go inside. I think whoever's responsible for this, whoever's going to be hauling rubble away from the door is going to take like an exhausted condition, but otherwise you're able to get through the door no problem. So
I don't think Reynolds is scared of a little dirty work. I'll take the condition.
Very well. So Reynolds, you all help, but Reynolds got particularly winded by by clearing the rubble, and the doors are now open or able to be opened. They open outwards. They are decorated in a particular way. When closed, they make a graven relief, or there's like a 2-sided together. They make a relief image of that baboon god with 6 arms and knives. So But yeah, you can open it and go right inside.
Can I pull Reynolds aside before we go in? Like maybe you just finished pulling all the rubble away and having a sip of water. And I want Basso to go up to you and say, what the hell were you thinking? You should have told me there was that thing there. You just expect me to die?
I came as quickly as I could with my knife.
With your knife?
If
That's the other thing. I'm the only one with a sword here. You all have just knives?
If I told you it was there, you would have dropped the rope and I'd have ended up in the river and
I would have
gone.
dropped the rope and I would have protected myself.
I protected you. You should be thanking me.
I should be wow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saving my life by not telling me that I was almost killed by a spiny lurker. Listen, next time don't do me any favors, okay? Just tell me if there's danger so that I can look after myself.
Oh, like you looked after yourself back in the ruins upstairs, huh?
Val and I fought valiantly against those bandits. You didn't see us. We were in the thick of it together.
Doesn't seem to be a lot of blood on your sword, considering you were in the thick of things.
I take care of my equipment. I cleaned it before you guys got there. Don't worry about it. Listen, we all got to look after each other, right? So.
And I did.
All right, whatever. Just let's do what we're here to do. Thank you for fighting that thing.
You're welcome.
I think there's a moment when Kiva's just kind of looking up at Valen while the humans are arguing and just waiting.
I don't get it either.
So, is there anything else anybody wants to do in the outside these doors before we go inside?
Actually, Kiva does have a holy symbol of this 6-armed baboon god.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a second time the symbol has showed up, or I guess the third if there was a statue.
There's a statue as well, yeah.
Yeah, and this is like, maybe she's kind of superstitious and just wants to, I don't know, see if she can discern any more meaning to this. Just kind of, she's contemplating this symbol.
With what aim? What's your goal in contemplating the symbol?
I guess to try to get a sense of like what people may have believed about this god, like what it's could have been a deity about, of.
Yeah, you can take a hunt roll on that. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to use prophecy.
Oh, yeah, I'm into that. Go for it.
Yeah, not good. 3.
Just something terrible. The prophecies associated, well, whether it's associated with this god or not is unknown, but you do know of a prophecy. And it goes something like this. When the 6 hands of the god of the dead are joined, the world of the living shall come to an end. Could be connected. I don't know. But in any case.
Yep. It's foolish coming down here. I mean, it wasn't already obvious. She's just kind of looking at the symbol and looking at this. Like, okay, here we go.
The 2 double doors lead to a quite large sort of, it's like a courtyard. It's underground, but it's like a courtyard. There are like, it's a little bit like, it's a little bit like Moria, right? Like that room with the big columns that, connect the, kind of connect. It's not that many columns, just 4 big columns, but it's this very large space. And there are doors on all 4 walls, which we'll talk about when we get back from our break. But I do want to tell you the set goal right now. The set goal for this part of the dungeon, which is called the I'm calling the underground courtyard set. The set goal is find the harpies' nest before the harpies find you. Let's take a 5-minute break. Okay, we're back. I have put a link in the chat for you all. That is our image board where I'll be posting bits of the dungeon as you explore. Some parts of the dungeon, I'm not going to put the visual down, I'm just going to describe it. Other parts, I'll put it down where I think you need it. In any case, you step in on the sort of right-hand side there, on the eastern side. That's where you're entering from. The room is enormous. Each of those squares is like 10 feet. And there are these huge, like tall pillars that are sort of supporting the whole room. And just waving your torches around at a glance, it appears to be a huge hall littered with skeletons here and there. Some of them still dressed in sort of like rusted armor and tattered clothing. There are these large pillars. There are sconces in the pillars, but they're all burned out. The arched ceilings are very, very high, and so high that you can't even see the tops with your torchlight. It seems pretty empty, apart from just the doors. There doesn't seem to be much in this giant space. I mean, you can dig around and look, obviously, but just at a glance, there's no furniture. There's no like big statues apart from these pillars. There's no sign of what the room used to be used for, apart from the fact there's just a bunch of skeletons here and there. It's very possible that someone has looted this space already. It's all a little unclear, but in any case, there are basically 5 doors. There are 2 doors on the wall on the side that you've come in on, one to the north and one to the south. And those doors are just simple wooden doors. There are another set of double doors to the south. There is another wooden door straight across in the western wall. And then there is a door in the north that looks very different from all the rest in that it is made of some sort of metal, or it's at least decorated like to look like it's metal, like a sort of bronze situation. I'm going to start with Kiva since you were first in. What do you do?
Stay short, stay kind of unnoticeable, and kind of hug the wall and try to look around at those pillars, especially if it seems very open and empty. That does make her nervous. She's physically smaller than the rest of the group and is used to just kind of staying unnoticed to be safe.
I think the pillars, I'm not going to make you do a hunt roll, but I do want to ask a sort of paint the scene question about the pillars, which is this. I think the pillars are all engraved with scenes of maybe things that took place at Law's End. You might recognize the chapel and some other structures that are kind of like depicted on the pillars. But the pillars depict a group of people who were quite depraved and engaged in some really dark stuff. Going around the table, I'd like for you each to just say, what nasty bit of business do the pillars depict the people of Law's End getting engaged in when they were here? Whoever has an idea first, speak.
I think we see sort of like necromantic grafting. So they're taking people and replacing, parts of them with like skeletons and zombies and ghouls and stuff, just to see like what would come of that. So maybe it's like the thing where it's like each stage is like a sort of like a drawing or an engraving on the pillar.
Fantastic, thank you.
I'm gonna bring back my other paint the scene thing with the psychedelic plants. So maybe like a scene of them either like making a tea or something out of them, and then maybe playing like a game where they like hunt people or something like that.
Yeah, I think I see some kind of carving of, it almost looks like a circle of people in a ritual or celebratory sense, dancing, and what it looks like they're doing is throwing body parts in the air, like a hand, a leg, maybe a heart or an internal organ, and it's not quite clear where those came from, but the answer's probably not good.
Indeed not.
One of the things that's unnerving, especially, is sort of like a very, very horrific, like pagan maypole type of ritual where, the theme of law's end, maybe criminals are strung up on this pole and people are merrily dancing around in circles and like throwing hooks on them and starting to just like pull their clothing and, flay them and stuff like that. Just pretty brutal torture kind of a scene, but festive.
Good. Basso, what do you do?
So I think Basso goes in sort of the opposite of Kiva. He goes in with his jar of glowworms like held up really high, starts like looking around, looks at the pillars, and then I'm gonna start making my way towards the northern door that looks like really different from the others, just to sort of investigate it.
You could do a 2-die hunt roll if you're basically just using the jar of glowworms to investigate, to light your way into that.
A 4.
Take your token. Let me find that part of the incursion real quickly. So the door is plated in copper. And the terrible thing is that a face has been sort of grafted to the door, but like a face, not a depiction of a face. And it's dried up, it's necrotic, the flesh is thin and yellow. The eyes have long lost anything in them. They're just sockets. And the mouth has just a few yellow cracked teeth in it. And as you approach, the face on the door begins to kind of like open its jaw up and down. And it's just kind of making a noise like, and then it's like saying something, but it's real quiet. Like it's saying something really, really quiet. Do you lean in to see if you can understand what it's saying?
Yeah, I think Basso's like slowly gets closer.
If you lean in, you can tell that it's saying, none may pass unless they know the word.
Yeah, I think Basso is smart enough to just sort of back off from that, find the others, and sort of like relay the information that we need to find a code word or a password of some kind. The face door demands it.
Renats, what are you doing in the meantime?
Reynolds is very conscious of trying to stay close to Basso because he knows Basso's got that token that kind of protects them supposedly from the royal guard. But also Reynolds doesn't like leaving things behind that could jump out on him as he proceeds deeper. So I think he's making his way around the wall and going to check out that door that's kind of on the northeastern corner there, but also very somewhat surreptitiously kind of poking his toe at any skeletons or anything he finds on the way, keeping an eye open for anything that might be valuable that maybe he can pocket before anyone else sees.
Take a
he's
hunt.
Found it.
Yeah, take a hunt roll.
Is that just a hunt one?
Unless you have like a particular piece of equipment or a skill that you're using.
Let me see. I have evasion. As a skill.
It feels like a bit of a stretch. Maybe surprise if you're looking for traps specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think I'm very interested in
or security.
Making sure nothing's going to come out of that door behind.
I think it all plays. Just do 2 dice. It's good.
Oh, that's a 6 light.
Take your token. The door is a simple wooden door, and as best you can tell, it seems like it would open easily, and if it's locked, it could be busted open pretty easily, given that how old the hinges are in this place. Traps, doesn't seem like it, but, maybe go fiddle with it and see. Seems safe.
I think at this point, can I spend a hunt token to find something valuable?
Of course. One of the skeletons is clutching a small pouch filled with silver that's worth 1 gold in game terms.
That'll directly find its way into a pocket before anyone else spots it.
Mm-hmm. Phelan, what are you doing?
I'm kind of interested in the copper door of the face. Not that I think it's a mannequin, but there's like almost a similarity there that intrigues me. Because it technically has a metal body and a face.
Practically the same species. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So I'm gonna join Basso over there, and
well, you see Basso backing up, so maybe just pick up from that point when you see Basso backing up.
What did you find?
The door deemed me worthy to be spoken to, and it told me that none may pass unless we have the correct word. Balin, do you have the word? It seems that if this society is going to hide the most important treasures, they're going to do it behind this kind of security. You might be able to speak to it you have similarities.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Though I don't know what the word might be.
Maybe make polite conversation. And then Basso just like backs off a safe distance.
Greetings, door.
The face has had time to find its voice now. It probably hadn't spoken for a good long while. And it says in a slightly more clarion tone, none may pass unless they know the word.
Is the word spoken?
None may pass unless they know the word.
I'll turn back to Basso and say, I don't think this guy has much of a personality.
Yeah, I think Basso's gonna like reach up, like pat you sort of on the shoulder if you let him, and then say, "That's
Sure.
okay, Valen. You know what? We're gonna find the word and we're gonna show the door who's boss." What's Kiva doing?
What is Kiva doing?
Seeing the rest of the group kind of look at the doors and we're looking at the pillars and stuff, she's a little concerned about all the skeletons and is just kind of trying to put together like, where did they come from? What happened to them? Were they other travelers who died here? Or especially given all the horrific torture scenes, how did they die? So it's kind of poking around and looking at the skeletons.
Yeah, no, that's great. Do a hunt roll.
Okay, I was looking at equipment for a second. Yeah, she's going to, maybe she has a collapsible pole, like a tent pole. So she kind of folds it out of her pack and kind of extends it and just kind of poking around from a distance, just in case something creepy jumps out at her.
I love it. Roll 2 dice.
6 light.
Nice. Take your token. I will tell you that none of the skeletons exhibit any sort of like evidence of maltreatment or torture like is depicted on the pillars, or ritual sacrifice. They're all largely intact, at least as intact as you can be in a space like this, I suppose. To the extent that their clothing or armor is in poor condition, it's just because of time, not anything done to them in particular. And it's not entirely clear where these people came from or what they were doing. So
I'd also like to spend a token for treasure.
Of course. One of the skeletons is child-sized and is wearing leather armor, and it's in pretty good condition. It might fit you.
Always good to have a spare set. Take that.
Indeed. Yeah. Functions as armor if you want it to. It's worth 1 gold otherwise. So. Okay, we'll just continuing right around here then. So, Basso, what's next?
Yeah, I think after sort of like witnessing Kiva investigating, I'm gonna head down to the southern double doors and sort of have a look at them and like shout back at Reynolds to be like, checking out the big double doors down there now if you want to tag along.
It seems prudent, yes. I don't fancy tangling with whatever magic has animated that face on.
Leave the magic to me. You just open the doors.
The doors are carved, they're wooden, and they're carved with a scene of a great feast. A banquet table, people making merry, celebrating. There's a fire depicted as well. There is no obvious sign of cruelty or necromancy going on in this image.
I mean, it's so peaceful that it's suspicious, right? Well, either way, Basso is going to take a step forward, and is there handles or is it just like a push open?
There are handles, but you kind of pop them and then push them open.
Yeah, I'll do the Aragorn heroic push open.
You do that. And as soon as you open the doors, you hear this really beautiful music coming from the large hall that it opens up into. And this space is really different from the courtyard space in the sense that it doesn't feel empty. It doesn't feel like a cold crypt of doom. Nothing like that. In fact, it looks awfully familiar to you, Basso. It looks a lot like the great feasting hall at the academy you used to attend.
Yeah, I guess I turn to like look back at the others and then take a few like hesitant steps forward. Uh this is the academy must have based their hall on this hall.
Reynolds, you're there, right?
Yeah, I think I'd followed him to the door.
The hall to you, you hear the music as well. And to you, the hall appears as the great feasting hall of one of the nobles you used to serve. Both of you, I would like to know your fondest memory from your respective time. Your fondest memory at the academy, perhaps in that feasting hall, your fondest memory for this particular noble you worked for. Think on it. I'm going to go back to Valen. Valen, what are you up to?
I'm going to inspect the pillars, looking for any obvious words or repeating words if there's a lot of them.
Yep, that's a logical thing to do. Go ahead and make a hunt roll.
Right. I don't think I have anything that would help me except maybe artifice, but it might be a stretch.
Yeah, I like artifice. Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. 5.
Take your token. You don't see anything like there's no words at all that you can tell. Now, pillars are very tall and you can't see the very top of them, but it just appears to be images. And importantly, the more you look at it, because you used artifice, the images seem like bullshit. like they're meant to like look very metal, you know, like they're meant to look like very dark and serious, but like there's something about it that rings hollow to you. Like it's not real. Or something. I don't know. But like maybe you've seen similar types of things, like kind of reception halls where the king is trying to put on airs, or a sort of like main sept of a temple where the priests are trying to like be extra like, you know, devoted to their god to the public, right? It's a similar kind of thing, like look how horrible we are kind of thing, right? But also you look up and notice that there is a skeleton about, we'll say 30 or 40 paces away, floating in the air, a couple feet off the ground, floating toward you. Slowly, but floating toward you. What do you do?
I'm gonna march up to it and
you
see. I want to see if it'll like collide into me or if it'll stop.
You get within 3 or 4 feet before you realize that the skeleton is encased in a gigantic cube of gelatinous mass, clear gelatinous thing, cube shaped. And the skeleton is simply caught in it. And by the time you realize what's going on, this large gelatinous cube-shaped creature, which is about, I'd say probably a good 7 or 8 feet cube. Its clear, slimy pseudopods are reaching out, grabbing you and trying to pull you into its gelatinous cube-shaped corpus. Combat with this thing. We'll come back to that. Do you alert anybody else? I think the only people capable of being alerted right now are Kiva. So,
yeah, I think when it grabs onto me, I'll probably make a fuss.
Kiva, you see, you basically see what's happening. There's something. This thing is lashing out at Valen, trying to pull Valen into the cube body. What do you do?
I mean, Kiva's just gonna impulsively go off of her last experience and think like, well, I don't know how to fight that thing, but maybe I can draw it away again. And it seems like intuitive now, just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one with the ooze. So she's gonna.
Yeah. Well, how are you gonna do it?
She's going to try to cast lure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you do this first before I force combat.
Okay.
I like it. You don't have as much time to deal with this one as you did the gray ooze, right? Which is maybe a little trickier, but that's okay. Raji, Ty, Rob, what could go wrong if the ritual fails?
She lures it toward herself.
Yeah, I think if it's lured nowhere, you'll have to fight it. So
maybe it goes through one of the pillars and kind of like breaks a piece of the pillar, starts taking the pillar with it.
Nice. Love that. Ty, any ideas?
I don't think I have anything better than those two.
All right, take a look at your skills here. What do you think, Kiva, or equipment for that matter?
So I don't want to use this piece of equipment, but I think it'll be really fun. So I think I'm going to use my monstrous mask and basically prop up one of the skeletons and put it on the skeleton to try to make it a more interesting
target
shape of a person.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah,
that's good. Okay, great. Got one light die. Second light die, Devil's Bargain. I have my offer ready. My offer is no matter what, the gray ooze gets involved.
It's hard to think of anything better than that.
Yeah, I was just thinking like of losing some kind of piece of equipment, like maybe the pole you mentioned, or this mask that you just set up. You know, the cube just swallows it up, and it's gone. No way to retrieve.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything again.
Yeah,
I could throw them out there, but I was gonna say the skeleton side of it might be affected. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, I think you have 2 offers. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll go with the ooze being involved, just tying things together. Yeah.
2 light, 1 dark. Go for it.
All right, 5 on the dark die.
Nice. Complication is how cruel do I want to be here? Very, I think. The complication is the gray ooze gets subsumed by the gelatinous cube. if you want to avoid this, you can add a dark die and try again. Oh no, you can't. It's high. And your rune goes up. That could be why your rune goes up. But you save Valen. Describe it.
This mask it's sort of like a predatory bird, almost like it's got a big beak. It's got like spikes, feathers sticking out, and I put it on top of the skeleton really quickly and try to just like push it up to be more threatening. I think it's got maybe some bright paint or feathers on it, so it's colorful and draws the attention of the ooze. And it just kind of sucks, pulls at Valen for a second, lets him go, and then engulfs the skeleton.
And then I think the problem with the gray ooze is that it becomes a sort of like T-Rex and raptor situation at the end of Jurassic Park, right? The gray ooze shows up and they begin, pseudopods are flying and they're just kind of going at each other, right? But the cube is bigger and way more powerful. So like the cube just sort of like subsumes the gray ooze, and now we just see the gray ooze floating, like undulating inside the cube, right? In this strange way, maybe even like wrapping around the skeleton in a sort of way, right? And I don't recommend continuing to hang around this thing. I think you should all probably make haste to somewhere else. But I think why does your rune go up? Is it because of the ooze or what? Because of like some connection with the ooze?
Yeah, I think it was still, I didn't realize it was following me, and it was still doing that thing of just kind of hovering, just kind of hanging out. And maybe it's got its pseudopods on me, and when I try to run away, it's kind of hanging on to me, like it's got its arm around me, and I can't get away fast enough from the large ooze, so I kind of get scraped or squelched by it somehow. Yeah.
Indeed. Let's just pick up right at the end of that scene with Valen and Kiva safe for now from the cube creature that is gelatinous in nature.
Kiva, you saved me. I let my guard down. It was foolish.
It is okay. I don't think if I was bigger like you and more capable, I would be as fearful, but sometimes it's okay to just hover and hide and not approach things directly. But I'm glad you're okay. I'm sure you would have done the same.
And knowing is half the battle. Basso and Renats. Basso, tell me about your fondest memory from the academy.
So Basso's memory is in the dining hall, and I think what happens at the academy is students will debate against each other with the audience of all the other students. So his favorite memory is him debating, another student of maybe like a higher year, and the scene is like them walking up and down the tables with all the students seated at them. And Basso is debating about the perfected strategies and arcane abilities of Nuromen himself, and he's being like sort of like shouted down by his rival, like another student there, and she's sort of like discrediting him and saying that Nuromen was like maybe not like a fraud, but definitely smoke and mirrors, like trickster almost, and he's trying to prove that no, Nuromen is like the key to all this powerful necromancy. And that's kind of his favorite memory, is just like a huge debate that maybe he didn't win, but definitely gained like some social status from.
And I think that when you walk into the banquet hall, it's that debate is happening, right? There may be other debates happening between other students. It's that sort of academic joie de vivre, that esprit de corps, everyone kind of really going at it, and I think maybe you want to get in there and debate as well. I don't know, but that's all going on. There are poor, hapless servants of the academy trying to like keep glasses filled and, you know, food plates filled and then taking away things and all this stuff. You know, a lot of activity, a lot of stuff going on. You've got the cool professors who are hanging out with the students, you know, and all that kind of stuff, you know, those professors. And that's all going on. The thing you don't remember from your memory and that you're not experiencing right now, or that you are experiencing right now, but that you don't remember from your time there, is there's a balcony above the dining chamber. You don't remember there being a balcony, but there is a balcony. And there, at the top of the balcony, there are 3 beautiful women in elegant ball gowns, and they are singing the most beautiful song. It's wonderful. The music is just is intoxicating. Even the scene is intoxicating. Reynolds, tell me about your fondest memory at the dining hall, banquet hall of the noble you served.
I think Reynolds' fondest memory is of the journeys he would make between that banquet hall and the kitchens to bring the dishes, because there was, although the guests in the dining hall would, if they didn't look at him with contempt, would look right through him as if he wasn't there. But you know, there was a girl in the kitchen who didn't look at Reynolds as though he was something she'd stepped in, and that was you know, that was what he was thinking about and what he was looking forward to. And perhaps in those days he was a little better presented than we see him today. And yeah, you know, he would live for those few moments.
And indeed, this moment when you step into the banquet hall is the sort of fantasy extension of that memory, right? Where the young woman from the kitchens or wherever she was from, who used to like treat you better, treat you well, she actually like ushers you over, you know, to chat, to talk. She wants to get to know you better. And you hear the noble and his guests roaring with laughter as they carry on with their meal. And all this stuff is going on. And it's fantastic, right? It's amazing. The part you don't remember is the balcony above the banquet hall. And there are 3 beautiful women in gowns singing the most beautiful song, an intoxicating song. Kiva and Valen, you are starting to hear the song from the courtyard, and you don't know where the other 2 have got off to, except you do see the 2 doors that are open. What do you do? Or do you continue searching the other parts of the courtyard?
Is the cube pretty much just chilling now, or is it?
As long as you don't get near it, you're fine. I mean, it moves slow enough to where you can avoid it, right? Like it's
Gotcha.
not
Now
fast.
that I know where it is.
Yeah, now you know where it is. You can keep it, you know, keep a distance. It's fine. Yeah. It's most dangerous in corridors, right? But
should we see what that is about, or try another door?
We shouldn't let our friends get too far away. I'm not feeling so good, and you know, I think I'm picturing Kiva almost has, maybe it's like acidic or something. It's kind of damaged her armor or something where it scraped her. I'm just gonna stay behind you, but I don't want to be separated in case there's other dangers around here. We should see if our friends are okay, I think.
What's your ruin up to right now, Kiva?
What's that?
What's your ruin up to?
5.
Oh, you're 5. Okay.
Yeah,
you gotta be real careful.
All right, get behind me. We'll find the others.
You head towards you see the 2 open doors. Valen, you see a banquet hall. It's dusty and empty. There is a table. It's piled high with pewter plates and other things, fair amount of junk strewn all about. There is a cold fireplace on one wall. You see your two companions gawking about, wandering about like imbeciles, but you hear the music. It means nothing to you, but you do hear it. And Kiva, this place reminds you of home. What is it? What does it remind you of? When you hear the song, it's like you're back home.
I think it reminds me of festivals and that would happen when people would gather camps together. I'm thinking her family was nomadic, or maybe at one point they weren't, but she was just a child. But people gathering at night in orchards, maybe like the noble's estate or something, when they could sneak in at night and set up their own like quiet festivals under tents, and there'd be beautiful soft music and food shared, and people from far and wide creating this big encampment together.
I love that, and that's what it's like when you walk in. It has this feeling of celebration, this feeling of warmth and sharing, but also of like kind of living your life in the shadows to some degree, right? And everything is as you remember it. The thing you don't remember is that up above, floating in the air, there are 3 beautiful women in gowns who are singing their song. And for all 3 of you who are in this sort of trance, the 3 women step off of their respective balcony or nothing and are floating gently down to where you're all at as they sing their song. And they split up. One floats toward you, Basso. One floats towards you, Kiva. One floats towards you, Reynolds. And they're singing their song and they're stretching out their hands, and they're so ethereal. They're so beautiful. They are, they're reaching out. They want you to reach back at them. Valen, you see the 3 most filthy, wretched creatures you've probably ever seen in your life, flapping their hideous wings in the roof of this place, the ceiling of this place. They are vaguely woman-shaped. They've got no arms, just wings and terrible big talons and rows of stinking, rotting teeth. But the music that they're singing is amazing. It's so beautiful. But they are gently, like kind of that clumsy floating, downward floating toward your companions with their talons ready to sink into them. Valen, what do you do?
My first thought is to try to fight all 3, but it doesn't seem possible. So instead, I'm going to charge over towards them and try and use my circle ritual and encircle my 3 companions in a ring of salt.
I like it, to keep these creatures out. That sounds good. Risk roll. What could go wrong? Gabriel, Ty, Rob. You're all in danger, by the way.
Leave one of us out accidentally.
Or bring one of the harpies inside the circle accident.
Yeah.
You guys both said the 2 things I was thinking.
I think the harpies just swarm you and tear you apart like winged monkeys with the scarecrow, right? Before you have a chance to to save your friends. In any case, take a look at your dice. Do you have any skills you're using? Are you having equipment that here? Is that what the salt is?
It kind of just implies that I have it, but I can
Okay.
have it.
Yeah, maybe like using your magnet or something, or just working something else. I think that'd be fine, like some other piece of equipment.
I was kind of thinking my athletics skill might help me here, like just
do it quickly.
be able to do it fast enough.
Yeah, I'm into that. You have one light die. Take a devil's bargain, maybe. Devil's bargains, what do we think?
Their song starts to have an effect on you in some way, or at least stir some dormant memories or something.
Yeah. Given enough time, they managed to get to you. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that.
The ring of salt might like break the enchantment, but we see you as like taking that away from us. So maybe like there's some animosity
really
from the three of us to you.
I like that a lot.
I was just going to say that maybe the harpies are between us and the door. As simple as that. In order to get back out, we'd have to go through them.
I don't think I have anything better than any of those. So those are your options. What do you think, Raji?
I kind of like the party turning on me. Actually, I think that's
that's a good moment. Okay, and take a dark die as well for the ritual. So 2 light, 1 dark, risk 2/1.
All right, that's a 5 on the dark die, which means my rune is going to go up.
And it's a complication. Complication is going to be, I think you use all of your salt, so you can't do this ritual again for the rest of the adventure. Or unless you find more salt so somewhere. But otherwise, yeah. Go ahead and describe it.
Yeah, so I see this happening. I start sprinting towards my 3 companions and sort of do a slide, and then I think maybe like some other type of device comes out of my arm and distributes the salt. So I sort of like use my arm to like circle around them. I use it all up.
The enchantment is broken. You're all suddenly, violently, at least psychologically violently, yanked from this fantasy at these beautiful women that were singing this song in this favorite environment of yours are now these like hideous winged creatures floating above you, not able to get close, but above you. And you just see Valen there, like trying to pull you all into the circle, right? To make sure you're all safe. Let's just have that moment. Well, actually, let's take a 5-minute break, then have that moment. Okay, we're back. So let's just have that scene. You're all safe. You're stuck in the circle. you're in a circle with each other. 3 of you are kind of irritated, and there are harpies bouncing around outside or in the air trying to get at you, but they can't. Role play.
Valen, what did you do? Where are the women?
I protected you, you fool. Don't you see these beasts?
I see them now, but I was back home.
What is this place? Where have you taken us?
I've not taken you anywhere.
They were so beautiful, and what do you turn them into? And I kind of sort of cower behind you if you're in there, but turn them back.
Yes, put it back, Valen. Put it back.
Snap out of it, you idiots.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna like sort of like run up to Valen and maybe like like hit your chest once or twice, but just like with a sort of like a pathetic like a punch, and then sort of like maybe like take a deep breath and be like, okay, I need to think this through. I need to go back to the principles. What happened? Explain what happened. What did you do, Valen?
You're a man of magic. You were under a trance,
Trance.
and I broke it.
You
Now
broke
prepare
it.
your sword.
My sword. Yeah, I'll draw my sword. How long do we have? How long do we have until they get through?
An indefinite amount of time.
Well, we can't stay here forever.
What are they doing on the outside of the circle right now?
They're just like hovering like above it. They're disgusting. They're like shitting on you right now, which is disgusting because that's something they can do. And like they are like you can see just like I mean you can smell them like they like have a horrible rot smell like and they're like a good 10-15 feet away and you can still smell them and they just in between their song you can hear their true voice underneath and it's just this like right they're vile.
All right, we need to stay calm. We need to find a way out of this. Uh, ah, ugh, uh, Kiva, what happened to you? You look injured. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. We had to deal with something back there, and shouldn't be a problem now. But we should keep going on somehow. We shouldn't go back that way. The ooze is much larger now.
Ooze. Listen,
What do we?
I think I have something for you, and I want to grab my troll blood that heals one rune and say, I stole this from the academy before I left, and I know the way to properly apply it if you want me to help.
Also, are you at 4 or 5, Kiva?
I'm at 5.
Oh, your thing says 4, so it's true.
Oh, did I? Oh, I'll fix that.
Valen's also at 5, actually. So you all should do more combats and less risk rolls. But yeah, the troll blood heals 1, so by all means.
And definitely would appreciate that. I've heard of this. I've never seen it in action, so I'm most grateful.
Of course, yes. It's all in the proper mixtures of it. If you get it wrong, it will, well, it will be like acid. But trust me, I have it correct. I'm sure of it. And then yeah, I'll apply it, and then sort of like look at Reynolds and say, "Well, you seem like the slippery fellow that can get us out of this situation."
I was just going to say, if you two are quite finished, it seems that our friend Valen has not only kept them away from us, but we're trapped in here. How do we get out of here?
I'll simply lower the spell when you're ready, but we should form a plan.
Yeah, fighting them on your own terms is definitely easier than fighting them while bewitched, right? So, or ensorcelled.
Are you done gawking at these foul beasts?
Have we? I know that maybe this is out of character for what we've done so far, but have we tried parlaying with them?
This is not possible. I'll just tell you that right now. These are...
Yeah, Vasa shouts up at them, parlay.
You shoot a challenge and they just shit some more and hiss some more.
I don't think it's going to work. Yeah, I guess I'll draw my sword and get ready and sort of like Basa's like shaking with the sword out, like his sword hand is shaking, but I'm ready.
Valen, if you'll let me, if I can't reach like you, if you let me stand on your shoulders, I have my dagger, I'll be ready if they come down and we'll both strike at the same time.
Excellent plan.
Nice. Their collective endurance is only 8, so they're much more dangerous if you are just standing there getting hacked to death. So, but on your own terms, they're fairly straightforward. Everybody describe how you're vulnerable, and we'll get the combat going to finish these things off.
I think mine is pretty easy. I think I'm probably slower to attack because I also have to disengage the spell.
That makes sense. Love that. Roll weak point. See what you got. 1, that's a good weak point. Kiba, how are you vulnerable?
I'm definitely the easiest to carry off.
Fair enough. Yeah. roll weak point. Another 1. So we're good so far. You always want low ones. Basso, how are you vulnerable?
I think just the lack of technique. Basso is just sort of taking the sword and like swinging down, and his inexperience sort of opens a lot of opportunities.
Another 1. All right. And Reynolds.
Yeah, I think Phelan and Kiva are kind of standing together. From what I understand it, Basso's waving around the biggest weapon, so I think Reynolds is kind of the one stuck on his own outside of the group somewhat.
Fair enough. Roll weak point. Okay. 4 1s in a row is very suspicious. I'm going to roll weak just to see what happens. Okay, there's a problem with the die roller. There's no way 5 1s would happen. That feels very unrealistic. Oh, there's a different one. Okay. Okay, what are the chances? Wow. Okay. Well, you all got a fabulous weak point of 1, so that's great. Reynolds, why don't you do the combat roll? Combat 4. There you go. It's a 6, a 2, a 1, and a 1. Unfortunately, you also all take 2 ruin. So unless you want to mark armor, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm going to mark armor.
Yeah, same here.
But the creatures are defeated. Let's have the first round of combat, starting with Reynolds. Go for it.
I think Reynolds just kind of braces himself as best as he can, make sure that his back is covered by his companions, and waits for them to come at him with his dagger at the ready. And as soon as one of them is in reach, he just reaches out with his left hand and tries to grab it by the throat. He's the one among the group that is not concerned about the filth and the disgusting state of these things. You know, he's probably drunk with worse people back in the gutters of Fort Durin, and so he just tries to grab one around the neck and do that kind of quick prison, multiple stabs to the body.
Kiva, keep it going.
I think as they come closer with their talons, she has got her dagger ready, and it just tries to slash at one of their wings or their claws or whatever is closer within reach. Yeah.
Nice. Basso.
I think Basso makes this wild swing, is immediately like the harpy just deflects it, grabs him, starts to like try to drag him away, and like this rune stone he has from the academy just like flashes, sends that thing like backwards, and he manages to like come down on it, mostly out of luck.
Nice. And Valen.
I think since Kiva is on my shoulders, maybe after she slashes at one, is Kiva she or he? I just realized.
She.
Oh yeah, she. Okay. Like it flies towards the ground, and then I just start stabbing it in the head to finish it off.
Nice, good. Those of you who marked armor, we'd assume the creatures are just clawing and tearing at you, although Basso impressively described the amulet, sort of blowing it away from him. Love all that. Sounds great. Gold dice. Kiva, roll a gold. One gold off these filthy creatures. What is it, Kiva? what can you harvest off of these things that's worth anything?
I think one has managed to find some simple piece of jewelry to wear.
Nice.
To go with the illusion. Yeah, like a simple circlet or something like that.
Nice, good.
Yeah.
I love it. We get to name these things too. They're harpies, I guess, but you can all have your own special name for them if you want.
Nightmare singers. Something.
I think that's fun. There are only 6 endurance individually. Let me tell you about the rest of this space now that you have some chance to see it for what it truly is. It is a banquet hall. The foul stench we've already discussed. There is this banquet table that you can see now is surrounded by skeletons dressed in decaying finery, some leaning back in their chairs, others slumped forward, some have fallen to the floor. The table is laden with an assortment of sort of pewter and maybe even some silver serving vessels, chalices, plates, things like that. Set in the east wall, behind the high table, is on its dais is a great fireplace. And yeah, I think there's another door to confirm. Yeah, and there's also a door there's 2 doors. No, 3 doors. There is a door to the, I guess it would be to the east that is opposite. Let me just clip the picture. Hold on, it'd be easier to do that. So I've got this board out for her anyway. Take a look at the board there, and you've got this kind of feasting hall situation going on here. That's the fireplace on the left there. As we're looking at it, there's a door on the other side. There's a little dais that's the stairs are kind of going up to this sort of like high, it's where the like sort of overlooking the Lord's table would be, right? And then there's like a pair of double doors behind that. And there's a little door in the corner as well, up on that raised area, and a door right when you first walk in to the right. So you got, again, doors all around. Let's start with Reynolds. What do you do?
Oh, I think Reynolds is looking for any opportunity to fill his pockets from whatever may be on the table. So I'm going to spend another, hunt roll token.
Yeah, absolutely. You can collect enough fine silver plates and cutlery to equal 1 gold. Fuck it, 2 gold.
I would also like to spend a token at some point. Sorry.
The revelers around the table are all wearing jewels and finery. This has not been plundered, probably because the last people who tried probably got eaten by Harveys. Lucky you, it's worth 2 gold. These are very good token spends.
In that case, I'm gonna spend a hunt token as well to sort of reap this.
Indeed. Your reap might not be as good. This could be an early mover advantage. But you find, let me go back and see. Less transportable, which is maybe why Reynolds overlooked it, but there is a magnificent pewter soup tureen worth 1 gold.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, so I was just going to say, so Reynolds is looting, Kiva's looting, Boss is looting. Valen, what are you doing?
Since there is a dinner table, may I look for salt?
I'll spend a token and I'll give it to you.
Okay.
All right, you can have your salt back.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I think it's fancy. It's like a block of salt that they would like shave salt from. So you have to spend some time shaving the salt. Kiva, after you're done purloining jewels from the dead, what do you do?
I guess I would look at this fireplace. Could you describe what else we see again? We see the fireplace on that side of the room.
Yeah, and then there's the stairs. If you see the little stairs going up, there's like an elevated portion of the room that's to the south, right? That kind of looks down the rest of the hall.
I'll go up there and look around to kind of get a view of the room.
Yeah, I'll tell you what you see at a glance. I don't need a hunt roll yet, but there's just like another table, like the high table where the Lord would sit. There's nothing on this table though. It's just a plain table, and then there's a pair of double doors behind that table. There's also a door immediately to your right as you go up the stairs. Then what? Kiva.
Just feeling a little emboldened by finding this treasure. I think she'll just push those doors open, kind of peek into the next room. See what's behind them.
The doors do open up, no problem. And they open up to this sort of, let me just grab the little map bit here. I'm cutting out some hallways and going straight to the the road. I clipped it a little bit, but that's basically what it looks like. There's a short hallway that connects up to this space, which is, it opens up into like this, beyond the little hallway, you can see the outside. It's like a little grotto area almost, and it looks out into the side of the hill. You can see sunlight and trees and stuff from where you're at. And do you go further in to investigate, or do you just note that and then go back to the banquet hall?
Does it seem like, as far as Kiva could tell, like it would be the same time of day? Does it seem unusual that there's light outside?
It matches your expectations completely. Yeah.
I think I think Kiva will definitely step outside, and also because I've switched my armor I put the found leather armor on top. I think Kiva's even putting on like this fancy dress that she found, and it's just like, okay, I could use to finding this treasure, and kind of putting it on, spinning around, just like breathing some air outside, and just feeling like this is a well-earned moment after facing these monsters. So she's maybe feeling a little bolder and stepping outside.
We'll come back to what you find in this little area. We'll go in more detail later, but I'm going to cut back over to Basso for now. Basso, what are you doing? You see Kiva go off but you can even look down the hall and see that, like, you can see sunlight coming from that direction.
I think I want to investigate the fireplace, just to see if there's anything sort of discombobulating about it, or if like if it's strange, I guess.
Sure, take a hunt roll.
I guess specifically I'm looking to see maybe if there's anything hidden here or like buried in the ashes. Hopefully use trickery as a skill.
I'll take it. Roll 2, it's fine.
A 3. Something terrible.
Indeed you do. We'll come back to that. Valen, after you're done collecting your salt, what do you do?
We don't have a new set goal yet, right?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
The other one is null and void, so.
Yeah. I want to inspect the grotto.
Okay, so headed in the direction Kiva is.
Yeah.
Okay, and Renats, what about you? We'll come back to that. And Renats, what about you?
Okay.
Yeah, I think also with a longing glance back at any potential loot he may have missed, he doesn't want to get the group too split up, considering the dangers we've faced already. So also head in that direction.
Basso, at some point you'll look up and realize that you're in the banquet hall alone. But we'll come back to that. Let's talk about the grotto. New set goal. Learn the most important word. So let me describe it. So it opens to the sort of southern cliff face of the hill overlooking the river below. You can see where the river kind of eventually lets out, right? This room, it is a grotto, meaning it's like still, it's not completely exposed to the sky, right? Only partially. And this area is a pretty remarkable garden. There is a fountain in the middle of it. The fountain is still working, actually. It's still pumping water. It's not a fountain that looks like a bunch of skeletons and murder. It's like a beautiful flower sculpture fountain that is pumping out the water. There are some sort of lewd, impish figures on the fountain that are kind of are, peeing or whatever, that, those sorts of little impish fountain statues, but otherwise it's not all necromantic, right? There are a number of strange but beautiful plants sort of growing wild. Looks like they maybe used to be contained in some way, but now they're just kind of growing wild all over this space. Kiva, you were first in. What do you do?
I think she'll kind of.
Oh, and also there's
around.
Let me just also there's a open doorway to the eastern side, so as well.
Yeah, I think at first glance she's just breathing in the air, twirling around this fountain, and is going to just kind of casually just look at the garden there. That last taste of that beautiful song and thinking of that festival just makes her want to like have a moment that's not so full of death and despair for a moment. So she's going to go look at the garden.
Anything in mind to do, or are you just relaxing?
I think coming across those other psychedelic plants outside, she's curious, what was cultivated here and if there's anything she could use, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make a hunt roll.
I think maybe invention, if it's plants that could be useful for her, like weaving or maybe healing of some kind, but that's about it.
I like that. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, that's good.
Four.
Take your token, but you encounter something terrible. I want to check in with Reynolds and Valen first. Valen, what do you do when you first enter the space?
I want to go check out the fountain.
Okay.
See if there's anything in the water that I find.
Yeah, go for it. Make a hunt roll.
All right. Oh, could I use like my fishing net in the water and see if it like catches any?
It's too shallow. You could just move your
okay.
hands in there. Yeah.
Okay. I'll do hunt one then.
Kind of something terrible. We've got two terribles on the board. Reynolds, what about you?
I think I'm curious about this doorway over on the east side, because if my direction sense isn't failing me, that should lead back onto the river that we crossed earlier. Perhaps that's where the water is coming out. So I'm just kind of curious to
Yeah.
look through there and see if I've got my bearings correct.
Yeah. You can pop your head in there. You do hear the river. At a glance, the room appears to be like a bedroom. There's like a bed and stuff in there. At a glance. Do you go further?
I think so, yes. Bedrooms are normally a good place to find valuables.
Indeed. We'll come back to that. Basso, you are peering through the ashes of the fireplace, trying to see what you can see. What was your die roll?
Die roll was a 3.
A 3. Indeed it was. You are not finding anything in the ashes. You will see that it's a two-sided fireplace, so like there's another room on the other side of it you can kind of see directly into. So it's probably the room that the two doors on that wall connect up to, most likely. You can also see, staring at you from the other side of the fireplace, are a group of large rats. Their black glittering eyes glowing. They're making loud chittering noises. They're very big, like the size of dogs. And they're not lunging at you, but you can see them. That room on the other side is kind of infested with them. What do you do?
I think it's kind of a weird sort of juxtaposition of the scene, because Basso is just immediately going to cut his hand again, pull out another like dose of the vermin repellent that he has, mix it into the blood just like the scorpions, and sort of use that as a shield to push the rats back.
I mean, they're not hostile to you at the moment. Maybe if you want to go in that room, you can use that to keep them at bay for sure.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I think he'll apply the repellent and then crawl. He's not even going to take the doors. He's just going to try to crawl through the fireplace.
Very good. Let me see what that room is. Okay. It is. It's the kitchen. So you crawl in. The rats are keeping their distance. The repellent's doing its job. But you're in the kitchen. There's, rotted cupboards, rusted kitchen utensils, casks of no doubt soured wine sort of lining the walls. There's a big food preparation area, ragged sacks with rotten grain and flour spilled on the flagstones, a couple of mummified carcasses hanging from hooks, the skeletal remains of cooks at their tasks.
And there's no other ways out from this room?
There is. This room has so you can see the two like little hallways that almost certainly go to the doors that go into the banquet hall. One of them has steps that go up to the area that probably connects to the dais area, right? But there's a door in the far back corner as well. I can put I can clip that.
Does it look like the cooks died and became skeletons, or does it like look like they were skeleton cooks?
It looks like they died on the spot.
Ooh, interesting.
And then just rotted away.
I guess I want to do some investigation on that and try to like see if they were fighting against something or what was the cause. I guess was it like sudden like magic?
Yes, you know the story, right? Nuromen delved too deep,
right,
and destroyed the whole fucking lost end, right? Probably whatever killed these people on the spot, right? Probably killed all the revelers. That's probably what happened, right?
Got it.
I don't think you have to dig too deep on that, right? Just confirms the legend, basically, right?
Right. So Bass's argument earlier at the academy was correct.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess Basso is sort of so self-centered that he maybe hasn't realized that he's quite alone yet. And I want to check out the door in the corner, just sort of like a peek through it.
We'll come back to that. You're searching the plants, Kiva. There are definitely some interesting exotic plants. You probably need more time to really try to suss out anything useful here. But with enough time, you probably could find a lot of very valuable things, maybe some things that haven't even grown at all or regularly in, sort of more less crypt-like parts of the world. And Valen, same thing. You're, mucking around the water, not finding anything in the water to be fair, but this is going on. Two large fire beetles dislodge themselves from beneath the overgrowth, and they're pretty good size. They're like the size of I would say, like they're the size of like medium-sized dogs, and they come wriggling out. They look like beetles, but their rear part of their thorax, or whatever we call that on a beetle, is glowing hot like an ember. And they are coming out and they're rearing up and they're ready to go. Reynolds, you're in the room. You haven't gone far enough to where you don't hear the commotion if you want to react to it as well, Reynolds. But Kiva, what do you do?
I immediately shout out to Valen to get ready, and I try to draw them towards me so that Valen can maybe take them out. Sort of act as a distraction for a second.
So combat, yeah. I'm into it. That's how you're vulnerable, I assume, because you're trying to draw them in. Make a weak roll. One. We're doing this again. Valen, how much you be vulnerable to the fire beetles? Giant fire beetles.
I guess if I'm attacking them, coming from behind them, and their thorax is like the hot part, maybe that's what's exposing me to danger.
Yeah.
Right.
Three. Reynard, so you leaving them to their devices, or are you coming in there to help?
Oh no, I think I need to help. Yeah, Reynolds doesn't have a lot of fear of bugs per se, but maybe he's not quite ready for ones that are on fire in this way. I think maybe his weak point is that he is separated from the other two because he was kind of off poking by himself a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough. Go for it. Good point. 2, 3, 2, 1. Combat 3. Take it away, Kiva. You're looking for just 8 again. So.
Oh, combat 3 dice.
3 dice, and you're looking for 8. Yeah. Endurance 8. Nice, that'll do it. Whoever has 3 takes the hit, though. That's Valen. Do you have armor, Valen?
I already used it, so I think that's the end.
Are you dead?
Right?
Are you dead? No, Valen!
Reassemble him?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I wanted to see how the scene plays out. We'll kind of go from there. So they're destroyed, though. Take it away, Kiva.
I think Kiva's just trying to like wave her arms around, like swirl this bright colored dress to kind of draw their attention, and kind of while yelling at Valen to like actually like stab them and take them out. Yeah, it draws them close. I think once they get closer, does realize she needs to actually fight, draws her dagger and like pokes one in the eye.
Nice. Valen, get your hits in. I'll describe how you're destroyed.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna jump onto one and just start stabbing into that thorax.
I think that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
Seems like it would be.
We'll get back to that. Right on. I'm gonna finish one of them off.
Yeah, I think he just tries to circle around them and stay away from this strange glowing thorax that looks very scary, and just use an opportunity to thrust with his dagger.
Yeah, the fire beetle just like the sort of fire part of its body bursts open, and I think it just like melts your central core structure, Valen, and your arms and legs and head just kind of clatter to the ground. It's a mess. Maybe the group can rescue you back in town. Maybe they can find something else to be your body. But I think here we shall end the session and pick up with that next time. Let's do stars and wishes. Stars are things you enjoyed about the session. Wishes are things that you hope to see next time.
I have some stars for like Basa's backstory, and I especially really like the scene between Reynolds and Basa where they were arguing. I thought that was really awesome and very funny. And then I have a star for Ooze versus Ooze and the really disgusting harpies. I thought was cool.
Yeah, my star is I really like the characterizations that are coming alive with these characters. I particularly think Basso's or Ty's characterization of Basso is really fun, very enjoyable. And but everyone's doing a great job with like just sort of being who their character would be. I thought we got lots of good backstory this time. We got to see lots of history of the characters. I was very touched by Kiva's like harpy fantasy. I thought that was really terrific. Yeah, I just loved hearing all the stories of these characters, and so that was really great fun. I'll save my wishes for a minute if anyone else wants to do stars.
I really liked the circle of salt that Valen laid down and managed to save us from the harpies, and then our sort of like confusion after that was really fun to play out.
Well, now you all owe Valen, right?
Yep. Big time. I also liked sort of the contrast for Reynolds's sort of like almost sort of tragic, sad past of like being, you know, a servant, and then the way he is now, like sort of like greedy. I really like the sort of hinting at that in the backstory.
I really liked the circle of salt thing was really cool as well. And one image that really jumped out was when Kiva took the dress from the dining hall, and like I can just kind of picture her putting on this fancy dress and twirling around, and that was kind of funny. But yeah, it was fun playing out that kind of little argument between Basso and Reynolds as well. That was great. And one thing I really liked as well was how it seemed like Valen was kind of immune to the Harpy's charm somewhat because of his nature as a construct. That made a lot of sense and kind of probably pulled us out of the fire there.
Yeah, I like the role playing a lot as well between characters, and I like seeing. We talked early on about this being this like really really old school dungeon, so it's kind of cool to see these classic monsters. And kind
Gelatinous cube. It doesn't get any more classic than that, right? I mean,
right. I like that it was like in the air. I was like, is this a flying? Is this the harpy? Like, no, that was kind of cool. Yeah, and I like how we're all just, you know, being creative, using our equipment. I just like seeing how the group figures that stuff out together. That's really fun.
Yeah, let's do wishes. I am actually really interested to see if you're capable of bringing Valen back to life, right? Like, do you leave the dungeon to go deal with this? Do you have you met your burdens? Like, I'm just curious to see what that moment post Valen's construct being torn apart, like what that moment looks like and what decisions the group makes. I'm very interested in that. I'm interested for you to know more about the dungeon, because I think if it's not apparent already, like there's like another story going on in this dungeon, right? It's not like exactly what it seems to be, you know? And so I'm just very intrigued, because I know what's coming up, so I'm just very intrigued to see you all kind of interact with that stuff. So yeah.
I'm really looking forward to hopefully more interactions between Reynolds and Basso, but I also would really like to see some kind of interaction, like a deep interaction between Kiva and Basso as well, and just to sort of like see, you know, do they argue as well, or are they sort of like is Basso more like confiding in her, and then also hopefully like we can somehow bring Valen back. I would love it if Basso can get involved in that somehow, and maybe mess it up a bit.
I think it'd be a very interesting process. I do think burdens are gonna have to go up to make it happen, though. Any other wishes, Rob or Gabriel or Raji?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say I'm looking forward to the idea of like trying to reconstruct Valen with whatever we find in the dungeon. That could be pretty funny, and like change his appearance and his nature. And
You're part ooze.
Ooh, that'd be awesome.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I was definitely going to second bringing Valen back. Kiva's definitely going to try with her inventiveness and weaving things together. Seems on brand. Yeah, I would also like a chance to try to branch out and work on other character relationships and connections and bring in more of Kiva's story. For me as a player, it's hard to do that with too many characters per session, so I'm trying to work on that, and yeah, all for it.
just wondering what this word is going to be. It's a great mystery.
It's all important word, I know. Yeah. Indeed. Well, that was great. Anything else before we go? How many more? We're just scheduled for one more session, right?
Yeah, one more.
That should be enough, because I mean, it probably wouldn't be enough to finish the entire dungeon, but I think it's going to be enough for you all to make the prudent decision of leaving and maybe doing Hearthfire or something. So, but we'll see. Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording.